And this superintendent is great. He's articulate. He knows the right things to say. Unfortunately, CPD are political pawns. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They're damned if they do, damned if they don't. The politicians clearly don't want any assistance to ICE, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. That includes when they're being attacked and overwhelmed. They don't want the Chicago police to respond. But guess what? The law says that they must respond. So I know that Superintendent Snelling here means well, and he's a real cop. I can tell he's a real cop. But he's got to do damage control here because his police department, because of sanctuary city policy, is in between a rock and a hard place. And that's a fact. Go back to Superintendent Snelling.
Lives are too important to play politics with these men and women who face danger every single day. This is not a game. This is not a joke. This is still our city. And we still have a responsibility to maintain safety and calm in our city.
You know, someone in the chat, I'm going to just stop Superintendent Snelling for a second. This is a great question. Purgatory Afterglow 00. Question, what do the police do if they're called for backup but believe the federal agents are acting illegally? Honest question, not trying to start anything. They back up and they assist. They're not going to arrest another law enforcement officer. They can report what they saw and action can be taken later on. It's like going on to the scene. The law here is so ambiguous that you're putting law enforcement in a very, very difficult situation. You have federal law that uses ICE to remove illegal aliens from this country. And then you have sanctuary city law, and it's known actually as welcoming city ordinance. This is part of Chicago's law, the city, that the police are not allowed to ask anyone their citizen status. And of course, the Trust Act, another Chicago law, is the CPD can't help ICE with immigration enforcement. So that makes it very, very difficult for the Chicago Police Department to understand what they're going to do with their job. And will they be disciplined if they assist ICE? That hasn't really been addressed here by Superintendent Snelling.
Now, there are a couple of things that I want to address. One, what we have to deal with as a department. Because I want to be clear to those who have never done the job, who haven't done the job in years, who weren't on scene, who don't know the facts or have the facts. But they've got a lot of solutions or a lot of ideas of what happened or what should have happened.
We call them Monday morning quarterbacks.
Let me first talk about the Trust Act. The Trust Act prohibits law enforcement in the state of Illinois from engaging in assisting federal agents when it comes to immigration enforcement. We abide by that law. The city ordinance, the welcoming city ordinance, goes a little further. It even prohibits us from asking someone their status. We abide by that ordinance because in law enforcement, we don't make the laws, we uphold them. And we're sworn to do so. And we take our oath seriously. Engaging with federal agents, we do it on a regular basis. We have task force officers who are out there every single day working to stop human trafficking, drug enforcement, gun violence, gun recoveries, search warrants, and everything in between when it comes to violent crime in our city. We have a great partnership with our federal agents, and we still do, and we will continue to work with them around violent crime. But let me explain how important it is to understand how difficult it is for our officers at times. Because when we look at the Trust Act and the Welcoming City Ordinance, sometimes there's a struggle when you're walking that line to make sure that you're not violating either one of those things, and at the same time enforcing the law the way that we're supposed to. One thing about law enforcement, I'll tell you this right now, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But we accept that. So I'm not going to stand here and make excuses or pretend like the job is not a struggle, so we're going to make excuses about it. No, we're not going to do that. Again, these men and women go out there every single day, and these are the things that they fight through. And my leadership team wants to make sure that our officers don't get caught up in something where they end up in an investigation, fairly or unfairly, and they want to make sure that these officers are safe and that they can keep everyone else safe. So although we do not engage in immigration enforcement, we are going to enforce the law when the laws are violated. So let me be clear to the public about certain things. You have to excuse me, I'm a little dehydrated. Let me make this clear. Federal agents, ICE, HSI, are officers. They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed and that this could end in a deadly situation. And it's reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions. Do not box in any law enforcement officer. You are breaking the law when you do that. And you are putting yourself in danger. Following law enforcement agents around. The question is why? What do you plan on doing? It's also reasonable for them to believe that you're eventually going to do harm to them. If you ram any vehicle, especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death. When you plow into a vehicle that contains law enforcement agents, you're using deadly force. And they can use deadly force in response to stop you.
So this guy's a real cop. There's no doubt in my mind. He's the real popo. And he's giving, he's telling the public, this is the law. This is what the officers feel.